When Vladimir Putin's plane touched down in Alaska for his meeting with Donald Trump, the world noticed something unusual. Instead of just the usual fighter escorts, a rare U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit stealth bomber appeared in the skies overhead. With only about 20 of these aircraft in existence, their use in such a moment was far from routine. In this video, we'll unpack why the B-2 was chosen, what message it carried, and what this unexpected display means. Diplomatic arrivals are usually marked with symbolic but predictable gestures. Fighter jets may escort visiting leaders. Sometimes, naval vessels are visible when meetings occur near the sea. These customs go back to the Cold War and serve as visible markers of respect and protection. Yet in Anchorage, Alaska, the welcome extended to Russia's president was dramatically different. Instead of a traditional escort, the skies featured one of the rarest and most advanced aircraft in the American arsenal, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. The B-2 is not a common sight at diplomatic events. Based at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, the aircraft rarely deploys to Alaska. The decision to move it thousands of miles for a single appearance immediately raised eyebrows. According to Air and Space Forces magazine, the specific deployment included at least one B-2, joined by 4 F-35 Lightning II jets from Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. Also present were F-22 Raptors, another advanced stealth fighter. The inclusion of such a collection of advanced aircraft highlighted that this was more than ceremony. The B-2 Spirit itself is one of just around 20 aircraft in active service. Each costs more than $2 billion when factoring in development, making it one of the most expensive aircraft ever produced. Beyond cost, the bomber represents a unique capability: long-range global reach combined with stealth features that allow it to operate undetected by radar. Originally designed in the late Cold War era, its purpose was to navigate highly defended environments. Today, it continues to serve as a strategic platform, having been updated with the ability to fire JSSM long-range cruise missiles. It expands its operational flexibility. By including the B-2 in Alaska's summit ceremonies, the United States sent a message of technological sophistication and global reach. The bomber had recently participated in real-world operations, including a high-profile mission in June that drew international attention. Its presence in Alaska tied those capabilities directly into the diplomatic stage, signaling that discussions between Washington and Moscow were occurring against a backdrop of undeniable air power. What makes this even more remarkable is the symbolic geography. Purchased in 1867, hosting the summit there, with a stealth bomber overhead, added layers of historical resonance. It reminded all present of the distance between ceremonial tradition and modern demonstrations of advanced capability. The choice of the B-2 Spirit was not accidental. Its selection was deliberate and rooted in the unique role the aircraft plays in U.S. strategy. To understand why it mattered, it helps to look at what sets the B-2 apart from other platforms. First, rarity. With only about 20 aircraft in service, the B-2 fleet is extremely limited. Unlike fighters, which exist in the hundreds, the B-2 is a symbol of exclusivity. Showing one during a summit means the U.S. chose to highlight its most elite capability, not just a standard operational aircraft. The message was clear. This was not about routine military presence, but about showcasing something extraordinary. Second, capabilities. The B-2 was originally built to operate in environments considered inaccessible to other aircraft. Its shape, materials, and engine design reduce radar visibility, allowing it to travel long distances undetected. This feature, coupled with its intercontinental range, makes it a unique tool of strategic flexibility. Its modernization to carry precision cruise missiles, including the JSSM series, means it can strike from distances far beyond defended areas. This capability resonates strongly in discussions involving any global power, as it highlights reach without confrontation. Third, context. The summit came after weeks of heightened rhetoric. Senator Lindsey Graham, a close ally of President Trump, had strongly implied that Russia could face consequences if no progress was made. The B-2 flyover directly linked these comments to a physical display. It was not only about reminding Russia of the U.S. capability, but also about signaling to allies and domestic audiences that America retained the ability to demonstrate unmatched reach. Geography further reinforced the point. Alaska sits opposite Russia's eastern frontier, home to vast natural resources and energy infrastructure. Analysts, including those cited in Military Watch magazine, have observed that while Russia's central defenses are robust, its Arctic and Pacific sites are less protected. A stealth aircraft positioned in Alaska symbolizes the ability to reach those areas with relative ease. This was not about immediate action, but about a reminder of options. Finally, the setting itself amplified the message. It was a subtle but deliberate act of visual diplomacy. The bomber wasn't just flying overhead. It was casting a shadow of strategic relevance across the entire event. Once the spectacle ended, observers quickly began asking, what was the real takeaway? The interpretations have been diverse, with supporters and critics offering sharply different readings of the B-2's flyover. Supporters argue the display was about deterrence through confidence. By showcasing its rarest aircraft, the U.S. reminded not only Russia but also the world of its unmatched ability to project advanced air power. This reassured allies in NATO and beyond, reinforcing the idea that America can back diplomacy with a credible technological capability. In this interpretation, the B-2 was a visual metaphor for negotiating from strength. Critics, however, suggest the gesture may have been counterproductive. The Guardian reported that the summit ended without concrete breakthroughs on Ukraine, with Putin leaving Anchorage claiming symbolic victories. Trump shifted from discussing a ceasefire to more general peace language, which many analysts viewed as aligning more with Russia's preferences. In that light, the B-2 may have projected strength in the sky but achieved little on the ground. From Moscow's perspective, Russian outlets framed the flyover as unnecessary and theatrical, suggesting it undermined the atmosphere of dialogue. In their view, it reflected an emphasis on optics over substance. Some argued it reinforced the belief that Washington leans heavily on shows of force rather than finding common ground in diplomacy. Whether that perception is accurate or not, it illustrates the challenge of mixing high-profile military displays with sensitive political negotiations. Globally, the image traveled far. Media in Europe and Asia covered the event, often highlighting the juxtaposition of advanced stealth technology with high-stakes diplomacy. Allies interpreted it as a signal of reassurance, while others viewed it as an escalation of symbolic pressure. The fact that this debate even occurred shows the dual-edged nature of such displays. They communicate strength, but also risk being interpreted as provocation. Operationally, the flyover demonstrated logistical flexibility. Deploying a B-2 from Missouri to Alaska in time for the summit was a statement of readiness. It signaled that the U.S. It can position its most advanced platforms quickly in any theater. This was more than symbolism. It was a practical rehearsal of rapid global reach. In the end, the B-2's presence encapsulated the paradox of combining diplomacy with demonstrations of capability. It was intended as reassurance and a reminder of strength, but the immediate outcomes were mixed. What remains undeniable is that the bomber left a lasting impression, one that will be studied for years as a case of how visual power and political dialogue can intertwine. The B-2 Spirit's appearance in Alaska was not simply about welcoming a visiting leader. It was about reminding the world of capability, history, and presence. With only 20 in existence, the bomber represents rare power, and its appearance carries layers of symbolism, from Cold War origins to modern global reach. While the summit itself ended without clear resolutions, the flyover remains significant as an example of how advanced technology can influence the stage of diplomacy. Whether interpreted as reassurance, pressure, or spectacle, it highlighted the fine line between showing confidence and risking misinterpretation. One thing is certain: the sight of the stealth bomber over Alaska will not be forgotten anytime soon.